Who needs a singing bowl when you have a cell phone? Good morning and happy Halloween. Oh, and I can do this. My name is Rebecca Roetzel, and it is such a joy to be here with you. This is my first Sunday back and my first time in this renovated sanctuary since it was to the studs. So it's a little bit surreal, and I'm excited to be with you today. Our opening words today come from a professor whose name I do not know, who once said, anything worth doing is worth, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. I invite you to join us in a spirit of worship.
Good morning. Our opening words are by Emily Dickinson. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. Would you please join me in saying our affirmation of covenant? Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
I would invite the kids up, but I'm inviting all of you to look at my storybook pictures up here. I'm going to read a story today called The Dot, with requested permission from the author, Peter Reynolds, who wrote and illustrated this book. I forget. The Dot by Peter Reynolds. Art class was over, but Vashti sat, glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. A polar bear in a snowstorm, she said. Very funny, said Vashti. I just can't draw. Her teacher smiled. Just make a mark and see where it takes you. Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good, strong jab. There. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. Oh. She pushed the paper towards Vashti and quietly said, now sign it. Vashti thought for a moment, well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly gold. Humph, I can make a dot better than that. She opened up her never-before-used set of watercolors and went to work. Vashti painted and painted. A red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow, and she discovered she could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting. Lots of little dots in many colors. If I could make little dots, I can make big dots too, she thought. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. "You're a really great artist." "I wish I could draw," he said. "I bet you can," said Vashti. "Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler." Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. "Show me." The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, "Sign it."
At this moment in our service, we pause to recognize the milestones and meditations in our lives and the lives of our church family. After a brief moment of silence, I will be reading familiar words. I invite you to speak them with me if you feel so moved. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
For most of my adult life, I've tried to operate by the motto, if you're going to do it right. For me, this motto was kind of an extension of my efforts to live by two guiding principles, intention and integrity. What it does, however, at least for me, is to create a pressure and a potential for failure, which can leave me sometimes feeling overwhelmed or intimidated even by a really simple task. My desire to do something right, as defined by my own brain or a societal pressure, can cause me to procrastinate, and then sometimes I miss the boat, or the relevance, or the timeliness. For example, wishing someone a happy birthday. I love getting birthday wishes on Facebook. I really do. It makes me feel loved, it makes me feel connected, I love looking at the faces. Some of you might be Facebook friends with me, and I guarantee you that I have never, ever wished a single one of you happy birthday on Facebook. And do you know why? Because it feels too easy. It feels impersonal. I tell myself that writing happy birthday on your wall isn't good enough because I really like you. I want to think of something clever, something unique, something that sets me apart. I'll send you a card. No, I will write you a letter in the card. No, I have these beautiful flowers in my yard. You would love them. I will just pick them up and swing them by your house and drop them off with the card. That is what I want to do for you. So raise your hand if you've ever received any of those gestures from me. No, it never happens because my intention to do it the right way often leads to inaction. And in the end, just writing happy birthday, just those words, happy birthday, on your Facebook wall, it would have been a success, not a form of failure. Because all that stress and thought I put into it, I actually failed because I didn't say happy birthday at all. So recently I saw this post that started, an article that started, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. And naturally, it caught my attention. The article was written by a student who had a professor who used this phrase a lot. She, like me, did not understand it at first because we never want to do anything poorly. But over time, she grew to understand what the professor meant as she found herself grown and feeling overwhelmed and exhausted and anxious about life too often. She reflected, brushing your teeth for 30 seconds is better than not brushing them at all. 10 minutes of yoga is better than 10 minutes of sitting down when you're supposed to do 30 minutes of cardio, but it sounds impossible. Changing your clothes is good enough when a whole shower feels overwhelming. Standing on the porch for a few minutes is worth it. I knew this would happen, but I thought it would happen earlier, so that's good. It's worth it when you've been in your house for 3 straight days because you just don't have the energy to go anywhere. That phrase, do it poorly, it's not challenging us to do something carelessly, intentionally sloppy, or to sabotage the task. It's speaking to us to empower us to do what we can when we can do it, without regret or apology. And at some point in our growing up, we learn that when someone tells you to just do your best, what they actually mean is it's okay to do it poorly. When I was a child, I watched my mother host guests. Our house was immaculate. She had 4 children. The menu was carefully, seasonally coordinated. We were on our best behavior until we were excused from the table as she served almond sunsets tea from her teapot, and we were allowed to go play. She instilled in me a love and a precedent for hosting guests. After having my own child, I realized I wasn't hosting guests much because it was too stressful to think about cleaning my house or planning a meal or going grocery shopping or trying to predict my children's ability to be civil at the table. And then, now this was pre-pandemic, with my first child, I found this article, and I hope this is language okay to use in the church, but the article was entitled, How to Host a Crappy Dinner Party. Of course, that caught my attention too. The, quote, crappy dinner party is intended to remedy exactly what I was struggling with. It promotes the idea that the sustenance we need from a gathering is from the people, not the food. This, as they call it, sloppy hospitality, embraces our lived-in houses, our lively children, and whatever leftovers we happen to have in the fridge. My friends, many of whom were also parents of young children, they seemed relieved that collectively we decided to prescribe to this new form of gathering. It was as if someone had given us permission to shift from trying to do it right to doing it poorly. And we did it, and we were better off for it. Feeling too overwhelmed to host our friends is an example of something worth doing where it feels unimaginable. So we say, I can't, and then we don't. Wishing someone a happy birthday on Facebook is an example of something worth doing where it seems like we could do it better, and we genuinely intend to, but then too often we don't. There is a gap between saying, I just can't, and I could do it better, where things worth doing go to die. It strikes me that big tasks that can feel daunting, like managing our weight, rehabbing an injury, repairing or starting a relationship, all these big tasks, they actually come down to each minute. Do you know that story about the person on the beach? The beach is covered with starfish. This one person is picking them up one by one, tossing them back into the ocean. Another person comes up, sees what they're doing, and asks, why are you doing this? You can't possibly save them all. Why does this matter? And the person tosses one more in and says, Good. It mattered to that one. So what if the minutes in my day are like the starfish in that story? And I am both the person tossing them back into the ocean and also the naysayer, reminding me that I can't possibly save them all. But we can choose to pick up that starfish, that minute, one at a time, and make a choice that might accomplish something good or good enough. Because so much of life is just in the minutes. Minutes that turn to hours and days and then to years. Minutes that shape who we are, what we build, how we live, what we know. Now, the pressure of trying to make a plan to save every single starfish on the beach in an efficient and creative way might take so long that you end up not saving a single one. But taking it on, one starfish at a time, we might surprise ourselves with what we can accomplish and the lessons that we learn along the way. This minute-by-minute philosophy works with accomplishing small tasks too. It really does only take a minute to wish someone a happy birthday on Facebook, to send a hello, text, or an email, to stand up at work or walk up and down the block, to call a loved one just to hear their voice and say, I can't chat, but I wanted to say hi, to stop what I'm doing and hold my child or pet my cat. When we remove the pressure of doing those things right and we just do them, the minutes become unexpectedly meaningful and productive. And I find that the adrenaline I feel after conquering 1 minute actually propels me into the next. And at the end of the day, at least for me, when I think back over my day, the minutes that I remember are those. And those are the ones I feel the best about. Now, there is a time and a place to do things right. Like driving, for example, or performing a surgery, doing your job. And I don't think he's in here, but our dear Bill Kimple, who said to me so many times during this renovation process, if I'm going to do it, we're going to do it right. He made decisions to make it work, to make it last, choices that we wouldn't regret or have to replace or repair soon down the line. He was a steward of our church funds, and he took on the work by doing it right. But there's also just a time and a place for just doing it, too. Doing things even poorly because they are worth doing. I'm pretty sure none of us would mind a belated birthday wish or receiving someone's holiday letter in March. Or getting an invitation to come eat leftovers at a dear friend's house. I will say, creating worship services during a pandemic with new tools and new parameters a year and a half ago, it was worth doing poorly many times. And like Vashti in our book, The Dot, we grew in confidence and proficiency over the year. And now a great number of you are creating these hybrid services with even more new tools and new parameters. We're gathering in new ways. We're navigating how to meet, how to fellowship, how to teach our children. Please keep doing. Those of you doing it right, and those of you who are doing it poorly. This is work worth doing. So for the sake of your body and your mind, I challenge you in the days ahead to do a poor job of eating right and exercising and writing and creating and making art, meditating, connecting with the other people around you. Do those things worth doing. Let each minute propel you into the next with a sense of renewal and satisfaction. Because so many times, doing something poorly is actually doing it right. So our service today was a bit short. I didn't even mention that at the beginning. We have a Halloween carnival in the parking lot. You saw the festivities as you were coming in, and we do invite all of you to stay. I believe there's fun and lunch and music and all sorts of things. Everyone looks great in your costumes. Thanks for dressing up. You are invited to stay and fellowship with us. Before we close, we will say our closing words, which we say each week as a community, words that bind us together until we meet again. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of community, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen. Blessed be. Shalom. Happy Halloween.